Okay. Wow. That was incredible. That was like so much better than like a soap opera or like anything I could have like it, wow. That was nuts. Okay, basically here's what happened. The Vanderbilt campus had just a speaking event, and it was organized by the Young Americans Foundation, and they invited Michael Knowles to speak. Now, obviously, Michael Knowles is a political commentator from the Daily Wire, very conservative, very Catholic, Christian. Anyway, so I felt like I knew the protesters and the demonstrators would be there, they would be loud, and they were. And I was shocked because I've seen like videos of it. I don't Here's the thing, like that just confuses me about all of it. I don't know why people are pretending like there's not going to be an opposing group. Like whatever issue that you stand behind, if you're like pro Israel, if you like tater tots, if you like, I don't even know, Chick-fil-A, if you like sandwiches and meat, if you like coffee, like if you like sneakers, like whatever thing it is that you like, there are people in the world, there are people on the planet who don't like the thing that you like. I made another video about this, which I feel like it's just not that controversial. Here's what I said. I was like, if you stand for something, there's going to be people who oppose you because you took a stance. Like, that's not this like controversial idea. But man, here's the part that just it just confuses me in a way like I don't I'm concerned. I don't get it. The logic chain just, I mean, okay, here's the thing. I heard Michael Knowles on his show talk about how, people tried to bomb him and like he has the protesters and shit, and I was like, "Oh, that's probably at particular campuses," but there was like people on there like, "You don't belong here. Get off the campus." It was like, whoa. Then you had people who had gotten tickets, they had taken a seat, they were like, it was almost like they were there to engage or hear the ideas, but that wasn't the case. They like literally showed up to like protest. Like they had hidden signs, then they stand up with the signs and they're like waving the signs around. And here's the thing, like, I don't understand. Like, that's the thing. What I keep saying the same thing over and over again. Peace will come when there is homogeny. And the thing is, like, these groups, so it really feels like the people who were very loud were like the transgender groups. And I couldn't like it actually. So Michael tonight didn't really talk about transgenderism at all. So I don't know, like, I don't know why that was the thing that they were like really loud about, but they were. And I mean, they were pissed. Like, they were just like, trans people are people, and but trans people are this, and we. She was like so mad. She was like, "I'm still here." It was just like, I didn't know. I was just like shocked. Like my whole jaw just dropped. I was like, what the like I didn't even know what I was watching. Like they were just really upset, and I didn't it was so strange. It was like so strange to watch. Like it it doesn't, to me it doesn't really matter what side of the argument you're on, but if you know that like a person is coming to speak who's like directly against the thing that you stand for, like especially when there's like a group of people like the Young Americans Foundation, it's a pretty Republican conservative space. So probably it's clear that like everybody who's there is going to disagree with you politically if you're like a trans supporter. Um so like why would you go there? Like I mean it wasn't like it wasn't like I don't know, I wouldn't say it's like a small turnout, but like for that campus it seems like a moderate turnout. There might have been like 200 people or something. I don't know. And it was just like everyone was there to hear the ideas. Like a lot of people had questions about stuff. I thought one question was really interesting. A girl got up and she was basically talking about how she saw this group of like, how did she call them? She called them like gender studies girls in a library or something. And so she'd given them like stickers on like anti-abortions or something. And then the next day when she was walking through the hall at her campus, people started just, they put all these signs on her locker and they were just like antagonizing her. And it was just like, I wonder, like, college is supposed to be this like safe space where you can just be introduced to new ideas. And so you would know that there's like people who like don't agree with your political stance, whatever it is. So I don't understand why either side would be confused. Like she didn't really seem shocked that there were like gender studies people there, but she was like really concerned. I guess she got called into the principal's office or something for like being pro-life. That strikes me, and I'm not pro-life, and that's still shocking to me. Like why, if she wants to share a sticker, like that doesn't really feel, that doesn't feel that intrusive, or like I don't understand why that would be the thing that's like you that's unacceptable. This is just completely intolerant. Like, that's weird. Anyway, like I don't know. I will say it now and I'll say it over. I just feel like it's very like this melting pot idea is not working. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and it's like it's just like every single day it just like reinforces every single thing I said over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. There was also this really interesting thing that happened, and I'll post the video and I'll just link it in the description box. But basically what happened is like this black student got up and he was basically saying he actually doesn't agree with a lot of what Michael said, and he was kind of going back to the question about like the founding fathers. And I thought that conversation, like the back and forth between Michael and the student, is actually it's kind of the hiccup that I have with conservatism and really like the problematic nature of the founding fathers. It's just like sometimes how can I say it? I guess it's like a push and pull, because the more that I'm learning about the founding fathers, the more that I'm learning about like life before democracy and life with it here, the more I'm learning about like traditional values and the purpose of religion, those type of things. It's becoming clear that like kind of like there's only one path forward, but kind of like there might only be like one path forward. That's like the correct way. And I don't know. I think everyone can like find it on their own, but I mean, I don't know. The question that the student asked. Let me go back for a second. The question that the student asked brought me personally back to this thought process that was kind of like, yeah, but like you guys are all talking about how great the founding fathers were morally. And so the point that Michael was trying to make is like all these men stood on their ideals. Their ideals were the primary factor in them making decisions and them doing things. Like their ideals were everything. And so we need to support them and idolize them because of their ideals. And then the point that this student is making is like, yeah, but their ideals were like super shitty. Like they were like bad people basically. So like, why are you pretending like their ideals were good? Because they had slaves and they believed in slavery. And he was talking about, I think one of the founding fathers like opposed slavery adamantly. And I think he said it was John Adams. I'm not positive. I can't remember. And so a lot of people like to make the argument, yeah, but it was the sign of the times. Like owning slaves was a part of the times. And then he was talking about how like John Adams, I believe this is the founding father they were talking about, he's from Massachusetts, and the economic situation in Massachusetts was great, so they didn't actually need they weren't southern planters or farmers, so they didn't have a need for slavery like the southerners did. Like slavery was vastly about economics, right? It was about cotton, and some of it was about like sex slavery, like it's always about like conquering women, right? But like most of it was about picking cotton, and that was like an economic thing, which is why I don't, if everyone seems to know that, especially like devout religious people know that, I don't understand why everyone is not on board with like economic payments for the descendants of slaves in America. Like, to me, that doesn't seem controversial. It seems very clear, but like, I thought the student made a really good point. Yeah, I thought it was just very shocking. I took a bunch of notes on the talk, and I think all of these, like, I'm gonna have to like look them up a little bit. He talked about this idea of like colonialism and this clash of like racial tensions in the country. He talked about the British Empire, and he talked about like this idea of like tribal Indians taking land from each other, and then Americans coming and taking the land from them, and then offering them like kind of a settlement payment as like reciprocity for taking the land, and them denying it for these like moral reasons. And it's just kind of like, but when you actually look at the history of it, they were immoral because they stole it from another tribe, and that's true. So there's this idea of like decolonizing the land. He talked about the meaning of Thanksgiving and the Mayflower. I think I have to like look that up more because I just am not that familiar with American history. I can't even lie. Like, I just don't pay attention that much to it. He talked about material plunder and the reason for conquering the land. He was talking about how the founding fathers were probably motivated by higher ideals. And then he talked about Columbus, which I thought was interesting. He said Columbus was actually never paid for the conquering. So when people talk about he was in it for economic gains, initially he was, but he actually was never paid. Supposedly there's a book about this by Delaney. Oh, he also talks about this idea of like Christianity not being spread by the sword. So like that's a thing where like a lot of religion has been pushed on people by like force, right? They're saying like, we're going to kill you if you don't convert to this particular religion. That's pretty relevant in Islamic religions, or in the Islamic faith, I should say. It does feel like, I'm not sure, I'd have to look into this more to understand it for myself, but that Christianity has been introduced as this like theological concept about like morality, faith, and God. And then once people start to understand like why they should live that way, then they make the choice. Like, I do feel like that is actually what happened in Ethiopia. Like, I'm not positive, but I think that I would have to look into that more. I'm not sure about that, so don't take my word for it. Um, and then someone asked a question basically about like being a closeted conservative and saying like, oh, but they were like, I feel so afraid to like talk about my morals and ethics on campus. And I thought Michael made a really good point. He said, at no point does it become easier to have integrity. That is, oh my God, I feel like that is a lesson I've had to learn very loudly, because at every point there's just these things that like my politics and ideals haven't really changed much. I do think that one thing that is very scary for me, and it's another reason I continue to make this channel and just like really start to document like all of the little steps that have, gotten me to here and like where I'm feeling now and why. Because man, there are like echo chambers of like he's like niggeration. I don't know if that's a word for it, but it's like counterculture mania. And I remember growing up, okay, and being surrounded by all of these like black male adults. It wasn't surrounded by them, but I would say like the media, like the Bay Area rap culture, just really everything. It was coming from like all corners, almost like this like world pyramid of just like counterculture and adult males who were just like ain't shit adult males just all around. Like, and they like for instance, I saw a post or something about this rapper E40. I also saw a photo of where E40 has been married to his wife, I guess, for 40 years. For 40 years. And I guess they have a family, all these things. But it's like I remember he was on the like At the Function song with Chris Brown, the remix on it. And all his songs seem to be about like drugs and alcohol, right? 40 Water. I'm not sure. I'm not like a big consumer of rap. But and then I remember like I feel like I saw a holiday picture of Snoop Dogg with like his very large family, and they seem to be having like a great Christmas. And it was just like, so these guys are basically trying to play both sides of the fence. They're promoting like almost like hoodlumism, in their songs and their raps and their like propaganda media, but at the same time trying to live this like morally just life. And it goes back to this like idea of like it at no point does it become easier to have integrity. And I think that that's something that the black male community is lacking. It's like integrity. It's like there's no way you're going to like make music about hating women, killing women, raping women, using drugs, being a philanderer, being a womanist, being all of these things, being like hypersexual, doing all these things, and at the same time also being like, yes, I'm so godly, and like it's kind of hypocrisy. Pick a side. You can also say that you're like confused about something if you are like, oh, I don't know how to live, but it's kind of like it's very strange if you're like a grown adult male with a large family that you have been supporting for a very long time and you claim to have these familial values when in fact you're also like promoting hoodlumism. That's what I'm calling it. It's just strange. I don't know. Okay, then one other student got up and he talked about like secularism, the separation of church and state. I'd have to look that up more to like understand what he was actually getting at there. Um, but the idea is like the freedom of speech and the freedom of religion. And huh. Yeah, that was just interesting to like to listen to. Really, it was yeah. Yeah. It was a good talk. I appreciate it. I hope I might like wanna. Well, I think I took enough notes that I will go back over the notes and maybe actually do some follow up reading on it. But it just reminded me like how critical college is as like a safe place for students to like engage and grow and connect. And like I saw students like getting together and asking follow up questions with each other about their own religions. There was like a Muslim kid who got up and he asked a question that was kind of about like why do you think that Christianity is better than the other what do you call them, like Judaic religions or something like that, and he was specifically thinking about like Islam, like why do you think it's better, and I saw a lot of students having a lot of conversations about that after. I thought it was just really they were good conversations. It seemed like a useful dialogue. Yeah, I thought the talk was great. I I feel like I got a lot from it. I was just shocked, like the beginning of the talk, and to have all the protesters really were that was shocking to me. Like I don't understand why they like what do they hope to gain from that? Like, this would be the one space where it's like very clear like these people kind of oppose your ideology. So that would be like me going to like a white supremacist gathering and with like protest signs. It's just and then I thought it was weird too that the one student got up and he says like get off the campus. This is not a space for you. And I thought that was shocking to hear. It was like, wow, like they're completely intolerant of far right conservatives. Like it was just like complete intolerance. Um I I didn't I don't understand. I don't like I walked away with more questions than answers. And it wasn't really about what he said that I had questions about. It was more like the gathering in and of itself. Um, did, man, yeah, I don't know.